Look, if there's one thing I hate being a conspiracy theorist. I don't want to. I don't want to be this way. I don't want to assume the worst of intentions of our elected leaders, but at this point, I just have to. I mean, we've got Democrats in Olympia who are willing to get on the national news and say disgusting stuff like this.
If they're old enough to get pregnant, they're old enough to make their own decisions about what happens with their bodies, okay? And parents do not have the right to change that.
Yeah, so we've got Democrats who are systematically trying to cut parents out of their kids' lives, who are indoctrinating kids at school with their radical political, gender, sexual agenda, just bizarre stuff. They are trying to and have passed laws that make it easier for kids to run away from home if their parents won't let them get a sex change surgery or gender hormone therapy, and the state will hide them away and not tell parents where they are. And it's all just, I mean, you look at it and there's a clear pattern of behavior here. And look, I haven't gone so far as to say, I know there's people on the internet who are like, well, that is like predatory behavior. That's just predatory behavior to try to rip kids as young as 13 away from their parents and help them make all these decisions. The government's helping them make all their decisions about their body and all of these things and bodily autonomy and oh my gosh, you can do this out. And then they drop a bill like this. And again, it just turns me straight up into a conspiracy theorist. Senate Bill 5312. I know I already chose my worst bill of the legislative session. I might have to change it. Senate Bill 5312, brace yourself, would lower punishments for child sex predators. No, I'm not making that up. That's a real bill. Go look it up. Senate Bill, ledge.wa.gov. Type in 5312. Look it up for yourself. So Senate Bill 5312, I kid you not, you think about what's going through the minds of a lawmaker who, during all this time of all these crises in our state, they're like, hey, you know what we should do? We should push a bill that lowers supervision, lowers the amount of time somebody has to spend on the sex offender registry when all they did is solicit sex with someone who they thought to be a child, and it turned out to be an undercover cop. I mean, because it wasn't even a real child. It was an undercover cop. So who cares if they thought they were talking to a real child? No, that's not that big of a deal. So let's lower punishments for them. I swear to God, that is an actual bill the Democrats are pushing. Here's some of the text. Individuals who commissioned a predatory offense involving a minor victim could pose a different public safety threat upon release than individuals involved in a sting operation with a fictitious minor. Again, Senate Bill 5312. So this wants to treat those two sets of predators differently. So if you're a sex predator, try to put yourself in that mindset. I know it's hard for the vast majority of us. Apparently, Democrats in Olympia, that's what they're doing. They're putting themselves in the mind of a sex predator and how they think and what they think the punishment should be. So if you're a sex predator and you're going to go online and you're going to try to find a child to groom and to meet for sex, okay? So in the eyes of Democrats, if it doesn't turn out to be a real child that you were having these disgusting conversations with, grooming, trying to arrange a meeting for sex, if it turns out to be a detective with the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force, who was posing as a 13-year-old child, who you, for all intents and purposes, believed was a 12-year-old who you were going to meet up and rape. Democrats in Olympia believe that you should be treated differently if it turns out to not have been a real kid. Why? Genuinely, what's driving this behavior from Democrats in Olympia? This is where the conspiracy, if I tie it all together, it's like, okay, all these things you're doing, separating kids from parents, trying to give kids complete autonomy over their lives at the age of 13, sending them to public schools where you politically and socially indoctrinate them, and then easing punishments for adults who get on the internet and engage in predatory behavior looking for children to rape. And God forbid for them, it turns out to be one of these dedicated men and women of law enforcement with the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force or one of these net nanny stings where they're, thank God, standing in the breach so that person isn't meeting a real child for I can't call it sex, for rape. Or thank God they're meeting a detective who caught them in this behavior before they victimized another child. And it is the priority of Democrats in Olympia to do two things with Senate Bill 5312. It would reduce the length of time that that person would have to spend on the sex offender registry, and it would reduce conditions and the length of time for community supervision after they're released from prison. Am I having a mental health breakdown? Am I in an alternate universe? And I just have to say, taken as a whole, when we look at some of the public safety bills passed through the Public Safety Committee in Olympia by Democrats, and these are along party lines. No Republicans are supporting this stuff. These are Democrat-backed bills. Just a few of them. House Bill 1125 lets judges end lengthy prison sentences early in the interest of justice. You could kill someone and a judge one day could say, you've done enough time, come on out. HB 1178, lower sentences for gang members who recruit juvenile gang members to commit crimes. Lower sentences for gun offenders. Lower sentences for adults who cook meth around kids. Lower punishments for online child predators. Look at those collectively. And ask yourself, go ahead, I'll grab put your your tinfoil hat on. What would the motivation be of a party pushing all of those bills collectively? Pushing bills to take it easy on the worst of the worst offenders in society. Things that used to be hands off, let's throw the book at them. Gun crimes, gang members who recruit juveniles, adults who cook meth around kids, child sex predators. And you have Democrats in Olympia who are spending valuable time this legislative session trying to reduce their punishments. Is that the party? I would ask for any Democrats watching. Is that what you want the Democratic Party to be doing? Are those your values? Are those progressive values? They have to be at this point, right? Because this stuff is all too common. We've covered these stories again and again and again. Going back to the Tara Simmons bill that would have reduced punishments for drive-by shooters who kill someone at a time when we're having more drive-by shootings than we have in 2 decades. And when the homicide rate has doubled over 12 years and when the instances of shots fired are through the roof. And when they're pushing all of these, as you know, all of these bills to crack down on legal gun owners, to make it more difficult, more costly to buy a gun and own a gun, to make it more difficult and more costly to sell guns. So putting all these restrictions, all these laws in place to regulate the behavior of people who've never committed a crime with a gun in their life, while simultaneously pushing a bill to reduce sentencing enhancements for people who do pick up a gun and commit a violent crime and get convicted of it. Help me make sense of that. I mean, we talk about common sense on the show all the time. This is the opposite of that. This is insanity. And I mean, if you want to be, I can't imagine. I know so many Democrats. I have so many friends and family in this state who say that they're Democrats. Oh, and I could never be a Republican. Oh, scary Republicans, Donald Trump and stuff. Okay. So you're a member of a party that lets a record number of people die in filth and squalor on our streets. You're a member of a party that has presided over the worst drug epidemic of our lifetimes. You're a member of a party that has been in control for 40 years when we've seen the homicide rate double and violent crime through the roof. You're a member of the party that has had complete control during a time when prices have gone through the roof and affordability is out of reach for many families in terms of home ownership. And you're proudly a member of a party that wants to let judges at a whim reduce prison sentences for violent offenders. You're part of a party that wants to pass bills reducing punishments for gun crimes, violent gang members, parents who cook meth around kids, and sex predators who try to solicit and groom children online and try to meet them for sex. So that's what I really have a hard time with. And I'm not a Republican. I mean, I certainly align more with today's Republican Party than today's Democratic Party. Not even close. It's not even close. But I just have such a hard time putting myself in the mindset of someone who could hear everything that I just said, who could see all of those public safety, real pro-crime bills being introduced in Olympia, and who could proudly say, I'm a Democrat. And proudly, anything I throw at them, it's like, yeah, but Donald Trump. Yeah, but Donald Trump. Without anything, yeah, but Donald Trump. Orange man bad. While people are dying on our streets, homeless on our streets, people can't afford a place to live, crime is through the roof, all of these things. Yeah, but Donald Trump. It's truly insane. So anyway, I mean, call me a conspiracy theorist, but I really seriously question the motivation of Democratic lawmakers who would spend time introducing a bill to reduce punishments for people who solicit sex with minors online. That is insane stuff. You're not fit to serve in Olympia. It's wild.